Hello YouTube bro, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching the Teenage Movie Critic, Nicholas Montez, and I'm your fellow movie enthusiast, Nicholas Montez. Alright, so, for any of you guys that, if you are followers from Instagram, like, friends from my school and stuff, then you probably know I sent the announcement of this stream to you, so if you're just coming in and showing up and supporting, go ahead and do that. But for anyone that doesn't know anything, this past Tuesday I just graduated from high school. Yay! So, in honor of that, as you know, I've been doing this series called The Movies That Raised Me, and in some way I have completed that series in a way. But there are 2 more videos that we need to do. Well, these last 2 videos are actually going to be live streams. And the second to last stream of this is going to be, as you can see in the title, it is going to be the movies that I was forced to watch in school tier list. I thought a tier list would be more suitable to do since it's kind of a bunch of random movies. And really, I think there were a lot of movies that we were either forced to watch in school or we had certain movie days we could watch, certain movies we could watch. And in many ways, there were some films that I was forced to watch in school that were kind of entertaining, that I was kind of having to sit through because I had to for an assignment, or there were just movies that we genuinely watched in something like elementary school just for fun. So it's gonna be an interesting list because it kind of compiles a bunch of kids movies, like animated films, and then it also inquires a bunch of films that kind of correlate to the class that we're learning in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as it seems like right now, this template says, for what I made, it said it has 19 images. Technically, there are 23 titles in here. I don't exactly know what happened to why it's saying that, but, you know, Tier Maker is a little weird. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And we'll kick things off starting with, and keep in mind, I have these all in the order of when I saw them, in all the grades. So the first one I saw, which was Hotel Transylvania 2. As you can tell, this was not for an educational purpose. This was for just a fun movie day. I believe in Aftercare. A few of the films that we'll be talking about in this list, the first few ones, they are Aftercare movies. And I remember watching this, I believe because I remember sometimes in Aftercare, we would either watch a movie in the room, they would put it on like a mini TV, or they would host the big movie nights or the big movie days in the cafeteria, and they would play it on like a giant projector and then put it and project it on the board. And so I thought that was kind of fun. But this was actually one of the movies that actually felt like classic movie day. And in my opinion, I have a lot of classic nostalgia for this movie because, I made a post a few hours ago. Well, technically, I posted at 3 a.m. mainly because I meant to post that movie collage thing. If you guys saw my Instagram, you know what I'm talking about, where I included a movie collage of my 2nd grade year. And one of the films included on that was Hotel Transylvania 2, because even if it may not be my favorite film in the franchise, I have a lot of nostalgia for it because, and especially in the way it set that mood during that time period with those other movies, it just fit the tone really well. And I just think the tone of everything in this movie is, the vibe of it all is so fun. But if we're actually going to talk about the movie, it is still pretty silly. It's, to me, not as good as the first movie, which, unfortunately, it's the only movie on this list that we'll be talking about from that franchise. But, you know, it is still a pretty enjoyable film. I like the character of Dennis. I like the idea that Dracula wants to do everything he can to try to make Dennis a vampire, and then he tries to bring his granddad in, and he realizes, yeah, this is actually kind of wrong. But even then, we don't even need to worry about it because Dennis becomes a vampire anyway. So Yeah, honestly, it's just a fun movie. I can't put it in like B or A, but it's definitely gonna go in C. It's still a fun movie. Now we get to Home, and this is another one where I find a lot of nostalgia for it. And, it's very fun. Fun characters. Like Hotel Transylvania 2, this movie's a vibe. This whole movie is a vibe. When you have O and Rihanna's character, I can't remember what her name is, and the cat in the flying car, and they're just driving through the night, listening to music and stuff. That whole scene is such a vibe. And once again, back to the Hotel Transylvania 2 thing, with it being on the collage, I also included that scene on my collage as well, because it's just such a vibe, and it fit the vibe really well. As for the movie itself, when you kind of think about it, and I'm also going to be doing another tier list tomorrow, that will kind of, Hotel Transylvania 2, and most likely Home will be in this category, where it's essentially, it's only good when you were a kid. When you actually go back to it now, like, yeah, there's definitely some moments that still hit, but realistically, the way that the characters are talking, they get annoying after a while when they keep saying, "Oh." And keep in mind, this was my introduction to Jim Parsons before, like, Big Bang Theory. Like this was, I know this came out after Big Bang Theory, but this was before I ever knew what Big Bang Theory was or Young Sheldon. And obviously, this movie came out like 2 years before Young Sheldon. Overall, where am I going to put this one? It's definitely not an F, but I still have some nostalgia for it, so I'm going to put this one in D, unfortunately. Hey, I'm not speaking as of entertainment purposes. This is how I think of it as a movie. So any of these movies that you either watched in school or anything, I'm probably going to be judging a little bit harshly, or I'm probably going to glaze it. So just to let you know. We then have Zootopia. So, like Hotel Transylvania 2, Home, Zootopia was another movie day film, except this, and also we watched it in the room on TV. And, I believe this was around when summertime was happening, or essentially, it was like the last remaining days before summer happened. And they just decided, this was the newest Disney movie. The school finally got it. It came out like March 2016. Summer was in June 2016. So let's put it on for the kids. And I don't think there's anything questioning it, because I was obsessed with this movie back then because of the cute animals. But as I've gotten older, and I'm like thinking, this is a really good Disney movie. Like, this is really great. And I think it's like, and not to beat around the bush, I'm going to put it in the A tier real quick. Not to beat around the bush, but like, I think that there's such a genius idea. We are reaching 10 years old with this movie. And you go back to the three films that made great with Disney back then, with this, Jungle Book 2016, and then Captain America Civil War. All three of those movies were so good, but they were all good for different reasons. And with this one, it's like they found a way to bring back Disney. Obviously, this whole era of Disney with the revival era was so unique and creative. And it was such a different era for Disney, because this was like the full-on 3D era. And, they weren't just doing what the Renaissance did or what the Golden Age or the Silver Age did. And so they kind of went for a Robin Hood style with anthropomorphic animals in a human civilized world where animals are doing human things, but they have a very humane story. And the way they did it all, while being fun and entertaining, but being serious at the same time, that's how you know you make a good Disney movie. Like, that's great. We then have Secret Life of Pets. I think that this is just another banger from Illumination. For me, this is truly one of my favorites. Now, the big thing is, I actually don't remember if I watched this in school or not. I don't know if I'm just including it because I watched it in school, because I remember watching it. Personally, I remember the first time I actually saw this movie was, like, at home, like, on Redbox. But I don't remember actually watching it in school. Like, probably on the TV again, like, right around Thanksgiving break, when Thanksgiving break was coming up. So maybe it was around that time. But, a lot of people complain about Illumination movies. They'll complain about them all they want. I, for one, just absolutely loved this movie. I truly loved it. You could say it's a Toy Story ripoff, but at the same time, it's like, it's fun, it's funny, it's like, got like a true dog's dream. It's got a lot of fun scenarios. It's quirky in some ways, but at the same time, it's like, these are the kind of Illumination movies that I want to see Illumination make more of, because these are just fun. And honestly, as a kid, I'm like, yeah, there's some pretty dark stuff, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? I just really enjoy this movie. We then have Trolls. This is just one of my GOAT films. It's on a different level than Secret Life of Pets, because Secret Life of Pets is more of a kiddie movie. This is on the same level, except this one actually presents something that is kind of interesting. Where you have these trolls that are so happy, they're so excited, and you have these Bergens, which in many ways, they kind of are just larger trolls, if you really think about it. Because trolls are technically supposed to be disgusting and gross and like mean, and that's technically what they are. And the trolls in this movie are like what? They're happy and excited and not the exact thing of what trolls are. And when you kind of perceive the idea with Poppy and then Branch being the one that's like not as happy, it's like it actually presents of what it means to be happy, while at the same time having probably such a banger like playlist of songs to play in the movie. It's so genius in the way they did it. And yeah, there's just a lot of magical moments. And honestly, I think the moment at the end, the song at the end, Just Can't Stop the Feeling, became one of my absolute favorite songs from this movie. It became one of my favorite songs ever since I saw this movie. And also, I also believe this movie became a vibe for me after that. So, peak movie. I'm putting this one in A tier. And then we also have Coco, which was a movie that I actually can confirm. We watched this in aftercare, except we watched it on the projector in the cafeteria for a movie night, and this was around spring break. And I saw this when I was in 4th grade. And there was a time where when this movie was coming out, it came out in like November of 2017. Hold up, I gotta get a drink. So, Coco was a movie, came out in November 2017. And I remember my mom and sister went to go, well, they didn't go see it, but they saw it at home. And for some reason, once again, I was a dumb kid back then. Don't really know why I didn't want to watch certain movies. Didn't really care to want to watch it with them. Was forced to watch it in school during aftercare. And I remember being invested a little bit in the plot. Like, I remember the opening when Miguel is, like, going through the village. He's invested in music. And so that kind of invested me. And I was low-key wondering, like, what's going to happen after, like, he gets with his great-great-grandfather. And, like, is he actually going to get with him? And I was kind of invested in that. And then you kind of find out later that, like his supposed great-great-grandfather killed someone, and then you actually find out the guy he's been with all along that's been helping him get to De La Cruz was actually his actual great-great-grandfather. And also it's kind of a movie that I've been obsessed with ever since then. It's kind of an obsessed movie that you get with like almost every single now and then. It's such a crazy movie. The music is brilliant. The animation is brilliant. It's just one of those movies that it's so crazy to think that it's a movie that exists. And just how well they did it. So, I'm going to put this one in A. I'm probably going to put it at the bottom of A just because it gets a little bit too obsessive, and also there are times where it is predictable. But at the same time, it never ruined the movie experience for me. Next up, we got Sorry, Wrong Number. As you can tell, this is a very older movie. You probably could tell that I didn't want to watch this movie. I watched this when I was in 7th grade, during my English class. I think we were watching it for like an assignment or something. I actually don't really remember. But for what I can say, this movie's fine. I really don't have much to say about it. From what I remember, it was okay. I don't want to put it in F because it wasn't a terrible movie, but I'll put it in D at least. Honestly, I don't know if anything's really going to go in F, so not really sure why I put that tier list there. But we'll see what happens. Next up, we have Goosebumps. So this was actually a movie that I watched when I was in 8th grade for Halloween movie night. And I watched this in my science class. Well, not Halloween movie night, but it was Halloween movie day. And we watched this in my Halloween class. And oh my god. I did not watch this in my Halloween class. There's no such thing as a Halloween class. I watched it in my science class for Halloween week. And yeah, it was honestly a great movie. Very, very funny. It was a movie that, like, it's kind of crazy that it came from Sony Animation Pictures or Sony Animation Studios. That was fun. But I also loved, the humor. I loved Jack Black, of course, goated in this movie. But just in general, it's just a fun movie. Now, where am I going to place it? Honestly, I'll put it in the A tier. Bottom of A tier, though, because these movies are better. We then have A Raisin in the Sun. Now, I saw this when I was in my theater class in 8th grade. Thought it was really good. Actually just rewatched it like 2 months ago for this Ultimate Cinema List thing I'm doing. And it's a masterpiece. It truly is. Just showing this family in the 1960s or like the 1930s where they're like, it's like just showing. First off, it has great acting with like Sidney Poitier and all that stuff. But it also just has like a good story added to it. It has like, honestly, y'all just need to go see it. I don't really know how to describe this story to you. It's basically like they're living in this home and they're like gifted stuff, but can they be trusted? Like, it's a very good film. Put in B though, because it's still not one of my personal favorites. We then have Flubber, which honestly was another very fun movie. Watched this in my science class in 8th grade, and yeah, it was just a very fun movie. Robin Williams was great, and also, I realized that this is actually one of the scientists that's in the ride queue in the Figment ride at Walt Disney World. So, yeah, this actually became a much more fun experience when I thought about it. And also, it's also kind of crazy to think that nobody knew who Robin Williams was up until they saw this movie. I was shocked. Like, how y'all not know who Robin Williams was? Like, did y'all not grow up watching, like, classic movies? Like, I kind of thought everybody grew up showing their kids, all those classic animated movies and stuff. But I guess they don't. I don't know what's going on with them. We then have Gravity. Gravity, another film I was showing in my science class. Pretty good movie. Pretty good. Star Sandra Bullock. Pretty good, like, science, space effects. All that stuff was really cool. Overall, I just enjoyed the movie. I'm going to put this one in B. We then have Our Friend Martin. Now, I'm pretty sure almost everyone that was in, like, elementary, middle school, one of their history teachers at least showed this during, January, during Martin Luther King's birthday, or even during Black History Month. You never know. And basically, if you don't know, it's basically an animated film where, like, these characters, it's Martin Luther King Day at their school, or, like, they're going on a field trip for Martin Luther King Day, and they go to the Martin Luther King Museum, and they come across this thing where it time travels them back to Martin Luther King's days, and showing racism and all this other stuff, and they, I guess, do something that basically, like, affects him from not being able to be killed, and then they go back to the present day and shows what would happen if Martin Luther King didn't get killed, and how of a negative effect that would make on the world if it actually did, if he never got shot and he was still alive to this day. The racism would not be better. In many cases, it would have probably gotten worse. Now, in many ways, even if he did die, the racism has still gone worse. There's still racist things happening in the world still. So, at the time, it was a fun exploration, but it definitely is not stopping people from being racist. I can definitely tell you that. Other than that, The movie itself is actually really good. Like, it's really good. And it's a fun little, elementary school film. It's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of, like, Follow the Magic School Bus, that TV show everybody would watch in elementary school. That was just a fun series, but yeah. We then have Anne Frank's Diary, which was a movie I watched. Oh yeah, also I watched Our Friend Martin in my U.S. World History class in 8th grade. And then we also have Anne Frank's Diary, which I watched in my language arts class in 8th grade. Honestly, this was a pretty good movie. I was a little bored at first because I never really understood what was going on. But then I realized what made me actually kind of like this movie a lot more was showing what was people's lives what were their lives like during World War II. That there were some people hiding in camps. They were hiding in basements. And there were some German soldiers that would come and find them. And basically, I believe that this movie is told from what was written in Anne Frank's diary, as it's in the title. And so kind of just showing that in the way it was done, it was honestly really well done in the way they did it. So I'm going to put this in B, just because I don't remember it all that much, because it was so long ago. I saw it in 2022, but overall it's pretty good. We then have National Treasure. Hold up, I got to check something. Sorry, my bad. We have National Treasure. Watched this in my World History class in 8th grade. I think it was for an end of the year assignment or end of the year movie. I didn't get to finish it because I guess I don't know why we never finished it. I actually don't know why, but it was pretty good. But I actually finished it a few months ago, and it was alright. I'll put this one in C, because it wasn't bad. We then have Black Adam. So now I start getting into some of the movies. Basically, every other film from now on is basically a film I watched in high school. So, Black Adam, this was an interesting experience, because there was this thing that, my freshman year of high school, I had intensive reading, along with another friend of mine. And what we got to do was this, it was December, it was the first 2 days of December, one of those 2 days, we got invited to the media center to go watch a movie, because we were doing this thing that involves reading, and we got a really high score on it. So because of that, we got a reward for it, and basically going to the media center to watch a movie. Granted, we didn't really know what movie we were going to watch, and then they told us we were watching Black Adam. So we decided to go ahead and watch Black Adam. And it was kind of fun, because I actually never got to watch Black Adam when it came out in theaters. And keep in mind, this was the year of 2022 when Black Adam just came out, because it came out October 2022. So I was low-key kind of excited, even though I've heard some pretty awful things, but also a mix of this movie's kind of fun because it brings back to what comic book movies used to do back in the day in the 2010s. Overall, what do I think about it? I think it's a fun comic book movie. It's a fun movie. It's not trying to be the most crazy thing ever. It's just having fun. It's kind of like you're having fun with a bunch of action figures, and there's not really a story to what you're doing here, but it's still fun of how you're doing it. I personally prefer when The Rock is not a superhero and he has superpowers. I think that's just way too powerful. There's so much, he's aura maxing to the farmest. I don't know. But also, the Superman reveal at the end was really bad. The fact that they teased him and then they just fired him, that's really messed up, man. Granted, I'm glad we have David Corenswet now. I'm glad we actually have a Superman now, but that's really messed up, man. Well, whatever. I'm gonna put this one in C, because I actually did really like it, though. Actually, I'm gonna put it above National Treasure. We then have American Skin. So this was actually a movie that I was shown in my English class because I guess my English teacher was kind of gone for most of the year because she was pregnant. So basically, we had a substitute. We had a bunch of substitutes during that time, but one of them was a black guy. He was like a big black guy, kind of young, probably in his 40s or 30s, and he decided to show us this movie, I believe because of Black History Month. And to be honest, I was kind of surprised that he would show us a movie like this, where it has like a bunch of cursing, it's loud, it's crazy. It's a pretty crazy story. I believe it's based on a true story that happened, but it also kind of has a mix of like found footage as well. It's not a horror movie, but it's like a mix of like real footage stuff. So I like the way it was filmed. I like the way the story was done. Personally, I haven't really gone back to it ever since then. So I'm going to put this one in B. I'll put this one in B. We then have the movie Tag. Tag is another movie. As I was watching this, another movie that when I had financial literacy in freshman year, it was at the end of the year. We decided they wanted to show us this, I guess for a fun movie. We had a substitute during this time. We were like placed with a new teacher. And, you know, it was just a fun experience. Granted, I actually, much like National Treasure, I didn't finish this movie when he was showing us this, but I did finish it a few months ago. And for what I can say, it is a fun experience. That's all I can really say. It's fun, but yeah. I'll put this one in at the bottom of C. We then have The Book of Life. So now we're starting to get into a few of the great movies for me. Book of Life saw in my sophomore year during my Spanish 1 class. We saw this around the same time of Halloween, also known as Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And it was kind of crazy because I've never seen The Book of Life. And I was kind of excited for it because I'm like, oh yeah, I've never seen Book of Life. Okay, let's see what it's about. And from face value, it is basically Coco in a nutshell. But what if Coco is better? And what if Coco actually had stuff in it that was like, that resonated with you a lot more? And, you know, the Day of the Dead stuff, the family stuff, the Ofrenda stuff, it never really was the main focus of this movie. That's kind of what makes, that's basically what makes Coco and The Book of Life much different from each other. But they have similar things. And with Book of Life, in my opinion, it is a better movie. It is so much a better movie. Though I still have a lot of respect for Coco, I think structurally Book of Life is a better movie. So I'm going to put this one in the A category right here. Really, Coco and Book of Life can go on day and night, but truly, I love both of these movies, so yeah. We then have Macbeth, a movie that I watched in my English class in sophomore year, because we were learning about Macbeth. Honestly, don't really have too much to say on it, just because I didn't really care for it. We were kind of just watching it to do an assignment, and so it was kind of hard to pay attention, because it's like, I just want to watch the movie. I don't want to have to be sitting here answering a bunch of questions. But, you know, the time has passed. I don't care anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put this movie in the D tier. That's all I can really say. We then have Life of Pi. So this was another movie I watched in my English class in sophomore year. But what was different about this one is that this was not a movie we were forced to watch. This was actually a movie we had to do for an extra credit assignment. Because I guess we were watching it in class. Because I stayed home the day I heard about it. Because like I saw there was an extra credit assignment on Canvas. I wanted to stay home, and I was like, oh, so we're doing an assignment for this movie. Okay, might as well give me the excuse to go watch it. And then I finally saw it. And keep in mind that the next last few movies, they're like going to be peak, honestly. And I finally saw Life of Pi, and I was like, wow, this movie is incredible. First off, this is coming from the guy that did the Hulk movie from 2003 with Eric Bana. But what I truly loved about it was, like, I love this story with this guy who's on a boat, and he's with this tiger. And it's kind of like Castaway, if you really think about it, except what if it was with a boy, a tiger, and they're on a boat? Like, all of it was so good. And, like, you know, the special effects on this tiger is pretty phenomenal because you believe that the tiger was there. And then also just, like, the visuals in this movie, in the way it was visualized. I was just so blown away by how good the movie looked. And, like, and I'm going to be rewatching it later this year, so overall, Life of Pi was just such a great film. Where am I going to place it, though? I actually have no idea. I'm probably going to put it, like, 8. Most definitely 8 tier. It's going to go, it's going to go right here. Yeah, it's going to go here. And now we are on to the last 3 films, which are all in my senior year of high school that I watched because of my senior year. We have Hamlet, 1996, mainly because in my English class this year, we were reading the story of Hamlet. And because the story of Hamlet is so interesting to me, because one of my favorite movies of all time, The Lion King, is loosely based off Hamlet, I was actually pretty interested in the story. And I was also thinking, I'm pretty sure I've heard of a Hamlet movie, but I don't really know which one is true. And I remember while we were, like, getting ready to read the story, my teacher showed us clips from the Hamlet movie, and I was like, oh, so whatever movie she's showing us, that's probably the definitive Hamlet movie that is how we're gonna read it. So, in the way that I watched it, I finally watched it. It was 4 hours long, but I gotta say, you know, I was excited for it because I'm like, oh, we're finally gonna just get a great British live action Lion King, and in some ways, yeah, you could, as I was watching the movie, I completely see the parallels between Lion King and Hamlet. But the Hamlet and Lion King stories are so different. Lion King is a much funner story with a bit of dark stuff, but Hamlet is a very dark story where it's not just Claudius kills Hamlet Sr. and Hamlet runs away and to never return, but he does return and then kills Claudius to become the next king. No. Hamlet gets full of himself as he's like almost 19, 23 years old, and he thinks too much. And that leads him to doing mistakes that he shouldn't be doing. And it really creates a lot of, like, stuff for the characters, the way it was designed. Obviously, I can't really get with the dialogue. It's kind of hard to understand, which I think when we were reading the story this year, we had to read in, like, normal English. But the way the story was portrayed, I thought was really excellent. I loved all the performances. I loved the set design. And at the same time, I did kind of like the dialogue, even though it was hard to understand. When translating it to normal English, I thought it was really excellent. And really just the tragedy of how this film came out was really something special. So, honestly, like, yeah, it just turned the script, the play of Hamlet, and just put it in a movie and just translated it so well. I loved it. So, where am I going to put Hamlet? I'm going to go ahead and put this in... Part of me wants to put it in B, but I also want to put it in A. I don't know where I want to put this. I'm going to just put it in A, whatever. We then have Animal Farm, the original movie that also I watched in my senior year of high school in my English class, because this last third quarter, we were reading Animal Farm. And this was a movie that, like, because once again, after we were finishing Hamlet, my teacher kept talking about, we're just going to, like, after Hamlet, we're going to get straight into Animal Farm next quarter. Like, we're done. And, like, I'm honestly wondering what Animal Farm even was. Because, like, I up to this point, I never even heard of Animal Farm. All I was thinking about was that show from, like, Disney Channel starring China Anne McClain ant farm. That's all I was thinking about. I didn't think it was going to have to do with anything of, like, animals on a farm, and they're, like taking over, and, like, these pigs are taking over. Like, I had no idea what this was about. And then, throughout the whole thing, my teacher would make comparisons to, like, the Russian Revolution, and World War II, and the Cold War. And I was thinking, like, okay, I like that you're comparing it, but I think you're comparing it a little too much. Like, is this, like, I think you're going a little too deep into this. But then I would watch every single other video on the planet, even for the new Animal Farm movie that just came out. And the reason she was talking about it is because it's true. Because this was actually a film that was an allegory for the Cold War, for the Russian Revolution, for World War I and II. And when you look at it in that aspect, there's a lot of views in this movie that really get changed with it. And honestly, I think in the way they did it in this movie was really well done. To where, first off, it's in the 2D animation style, so it's in a very, in a way that, like, of how we perceived of Disney films back then. Where, sure, Disney movies can go a little bit dark, but they're not going to go too dark to where it's going to edge it out. This movie kind of goes dark to where you see animals get killed. You see, probably not, I don't even remember it that much, even though I rewatched it like a month ago. Like, but it was still pretty gruesome. It was still pretty crazy to see some of these animals do certain things, be vile, and the way the plot happens. And I also, much like Hamlet, I also like that it was a movie that didn't really have a happy ending. And so that's kind of what made it kind of unique. And the way that these pigs are so deprived of it, and they create these laws of, like, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. It's just such a clever mix of everything. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the A tier. This was a top tier movie for me. And finally we have To Kill a Mockingbird. So this was the final story that we were reading in my English class in senior year. Once again, another classic, Hollywood movie that I never exactly knew about. I remember I knew about it, but I didn't really know what it was about. And all I heard about it was a court case about a white girl getting raped by a black man, or getting accused of getting raped by a black man getting accused of rape. And when I heard about that, I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. Maybe, like, did this guy actually do that? Like, how is this going to go down? And of course, we actually did get a chance to watch the movie in class, but I actually didn't show up that day because I guess there was testing or something. I don't remember. But the way that the movie is done, I love that it isn't just about. I love that it kind of just portrayed like the people of the South, and it didn't just portray blacks or black people as the innocents, but it also portrayed how white Southerners were back in the day, how some of them were raised, how some of the parents were raised, how some of these kids were raised and everything, and how it can be perceived on, like, and that's what Mockingbird means. It means innocence. And in many ways, like our main black character in the movie, I forgot his name, not James, Tom Robinson. Like, maybe he's a representation of a mockingbird. You have Atticus Finch, who is perceived that he's old. He doesn't want to do certain things. Just the way everything kind of perceived out, it was just so good. And so the story overall is just really something special. But also, I loved that, once again, like Hamlet, like Animal Farm, this is another movie that doesn't really have a happy ending, to where Tom Robinson is pleaded guilty, and he gets sent back to jail, but while he tries to escape, he gets shot, gets killed. And it's I'm actually going to turn this camera around real quick. That's what made the film just so powerful in so many ways. And so, for me, this was a pretty awesome movie. I'm going ahead and put this in the category of A. Yeah, that's where I'll put it. Actually, I'll put here. And that is it. Sorry, my camera's like being weird right now. So that is kind of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This list was pretty cool to make. It's kind of cool that, Zootopia, well, actually, probably should change that because Save Your Life of Pets and Trolls are my favorites. Actually, let me change that real quick. So yeah, this is the official films I was back in elementary, middle, and high school. So overall, yeah, it was a pretty cool. I had a pretty cool experience of movies back then. So overall, that is kind of my experience with the movies back then. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And comment down below, what movies did you grow up watching in elementary, middle school, high school? Like, the ones that you were forced to watch, not the ones you grew up watching outside of that. And also come back tomorrow, and I'm going to be come back tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm going to have a big live stream of, basically, it's kind of like a graduation rehearsal of graduation thing of the class of 2026 favorite films. I'm going to be so pumped up for that, and I cannot wait to see some of you all there, and hopefully y'all can come in, support, and also just celebrate our favorite movies together. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.